YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness series versus basically taking you all on a journey with my condition of Asperger's syndrome and the like that comes in the territory of it all, and hopefully with some tips and advice based on my life experiences with this and many other mental health conditions that I have addressed in the past will be of value and use to you. I also do some other uplifting videos to encourage you all and inspire you all, so hopefully for the ones that just need some everyday, health topics or just tips and advice of certain everyday situations that we go through in our life, just to let you know that you're not alone regardless what it may be, so that we can continue on and support one another regardless what it may be. And all for the day, guys, at this point of time, if you've been following me or just are as of now, if you've seen what I've hopefully notified you guys on, I'm doing the ADHD series, which hopefully will be completed within 2 weeks time, along with some more dyslexia series, as well as I said before, that some of the AspieAnswersAll series are on hold at the moment until probably to a later date, so that I can give a variation of what's needed. So in all further ado, guys, basically this one's all about, going to be broken into 2 parts here about handling your children with tantrums versus basically also how to handle tantrums in adults. This one is going to hopefully just be all collabed one together in these 2 parts, so that we can actually understand step by step as we go along. So hopefully this will be an easier video to follow. So in all further ado, let's begin this. As you're aware, as I've been sharing with you, although many people mistake tantrums and meltdowns in this differentiation, as I've said before, if you want to know more about these differences, I may have done so already based on the Asperger's syndrome and series of temper tantrums or somewhere along those lines, but then again, please forgive me if I haven't, just let me know. So as you know, if you're a parent with children that likes to have temper tantrums, this can be a most stressful and frustrating time when they do end up, playing up wherever it may be, outside, of the comfort zone of where it may be. Some of it that people may argue that, with kids they may have a temper tantrum because they're just showing attention or crying out for attention from parents or whoever, and they're actually with at that time. Sometimes also, once your child hits the terrible twos, also they will obviously have the temper tantrums, and it will develop if it's not treated right and managing in the right way. So the earlier the better the prevention. According to child psychologists, however, most children don't throw tantrums just to be naughty and manipulative. Rather, it's quite the opposite. The screaming is a symptom of the child's anger and frustration when they don't have the vocabulary to explain what's really wrong with them, especially if some of them are, like as I said, autistic and are mute, and they tend to basically have not a lack of communications as such, but they just are non-verbal, and it's a way of, like I said, and one of the ones how to talk to an autistic. So therefore, staying calm and learning to identify what is really bothering your child will help to handle the situation quickly and diffuse the situation as effectively possible. So as I said, these are going to be broken down into 3 methods and parts of the first part of this, and the 3 methods I'm going to take you through right now for the tips and advice are: method 1, talking it through; method 2 is trying time out for your young children; and method 3, knowing when to get professional advice or not when your child has these tantrums. So first and foremost, method 1, talking it through. Number 1, remain calm enough to handle the tantrum properly. The worst thing for a parent or caregiver or whoever it may be that's dealing with a child can do is have a temper tantrum over the child's temper tantrum. Obviously it will escalate to a higher level, and it will be harder to control when you're in a state of mind that you're just running out of energy and whatnot, and getting angry with the child or what have you. So children need a calming influence, as well as maybe an environment that is calm, especially during these tantrums that they're having. And if you can't provide that, you can't expect them to calm down straight away. Take a few deep breaths and wait at least a few seconds before deciding on a response to them. Number 2, make sure the child has he or she what they need. Remember that your child's tantrum is not necessarily a way to get his or her own way, but it could be the result of frustration, lack of needed attention from you, or even a physical problem like low blood sugar, pain, or digestive problems. Maybe your child is teething, having a dirty nose, or needs a nap. In many cases like these, don't try to negotiate with the child, but simply provide what is needed, and the tantrum should subside. It's very common for kids these days to throw tantrums when they're sleepy. A regular scheduled nap time, for example, can prevent these recurring tantrums if this seems to be the problem. When you're out and about, taking them into town or whatever with your child, be it in a grocery supermarket where they tend to perform, have a healthy snack available at all times so they don't end up throwing a tantrum out of hunger and be an embarrassment to you when you try to deal with it. Number 3, ask what's wrong. Go down to a kid's level, obviously, by, crouching down, making eye contact with them and asking them this question. Kids just want to be heard, obviously, when they're throwing that tantrum. It's often the best way they know how to express themselves. You need to take your child seriously, however, by asking what's wrong and actually listening to their response so that you can help them and meet that need. Hold your child and give them her full attention that gives them time to explain. This is not to say that you need to give it in to whatever your child wants all the time. No, that's not simply the point. The point is here to hear your child out in a respectful manner, just as you would with anyone else that, has a bad hair day. Whether your child wants a new toy or doesn't want to go to school, he or she should have right to express that. Never force them to do what they don't want to do through that tantrum. Number 4, give clear explanations instead of just saying no. Many parents just say no without a clear explanation to why they're saying no in the first place while they're having this tantrum. And sometimes they also say to the child, because I said so, instead of explaining the reason why. But that is also frustrating for the children. You don't have to give a long-winded explanation, but providing a reason for your actions will help the child to make sense of things and feel more in control of the situation. Example here to illustrate again, if your child is in the grocery store and they throw a tantrum because he or she wants a sugary syrup, you remind him or her that she likes oatmeal and fruit for breakfast, so there's no need to buy cereal too. Number 5, offer your child a choice of coping strategies. As you know, basically, like anything, there are certain coping strategies. So an example to illustrate for you all, to give you a clearer understanding is, for example, your son or daughter wants ice cream, but it's too close to dinner time. Say to them maybe, Taylor, you're really getting upset now. Calm down or they have to go to your room. You've given her a choice either to control themselves or, if they can't, retreat to a place where he/she won't influence others. If he/she makes the right choice to calm down, remember to compliment him or her, or also just give them praises, regardless. You asked for ice cream and I said no. I want to thank you for taking no for an answer. Conversely, you have consequences and influence them if they choose to get upset. Guide them to their room and firmly insist that they remain there until they calm down. For example, this may be easier with a 2-year-old than an 8-year-old, so the younger you begin the learning process, the better, obviously, and then they won't give in. Number 6, hold your ground. As parents, we know that, as I said, they can test us for no matter whatever reason, so being empathetic yet firm when you talk to the child, and once you've given the calm explanation, don't back down from what the child is doing. Your child may or may not calm down right away, but he or she may remember that throwing a tantrum doesn't lead to the satisfactory results that you so desire. Next time the child wants something, remember this, that he or she may be less likely to throw a tantrum. Number 7, take steps to prevent injuries. Some children that become so animated during a tantrum basically will likely to self-injure themselves. If this occurs, remove the dangerous objects from the child's path or steer the child away from any form of danger. Another key tip here is try to avoid restraining a child during a tantrum, but sometimes this is necessary and comforting. Be gentle, but do not use excessive force on them. Hold him or her firmly, speak reassuringly to the child in a calm manner, especially if the tantrum is the result of disappointment, frustration, or unfitting the surroundings that they're in. 8. Do not forever lose your temper. It's important to model the behaviour you want to see for your own child. If you lose it and start yelling and throwing it out at start tantrum of your own, your child will see this type of behaviour and may find this acceptable for them to follow suit. As you know, child, as they grow up, imitate their parents, way of how they act. And they'll then think that when they see this type of behaviour, they'll obviously think this is acceptable in the house. It's not easy to do, but staying calm and collected is the best thing you can do for yourself and the child. Take a few minutes to cool off by yourself if you need to. Get someone else maybe to be in place with you to look after the child while you just set yourself to calm down. Put your child in their room with a gate in front of the door if necessary. Forever don't spank your child. or yell at your child. Losing control of yourself in this way will only make your child feel more confused and scared of you, and may lead to broken trust issues and many other problems. It won't lead to a healthy and trusting relationship, as I'm trying to say. Modelling good ways to communicate and handle frustration within your relationship with your partner is also important. Avoid fighting in front of your child or getting upset when you don't get your own way with your child. Number 9, help your child feel loved no matter what. Sometimes kids throw tantrums because they just want some extra love and attention. Withholding that love is never a good policy when it comes to disciplining a child, however. No matter what, your child should know what you love him or her no matter what. Avoid berating your child or saying, I'm so disappointed in you when he or she throws a tantrum. Have your child say, I love you, and if you're even frustrated with them and their behaviour. Method 2 now, trying time out for the younger children. Number 1, use time out during a meltdown. Okay, again, people mistake meltdowns and tantrums for different reasons, so this may help you. Avoid trying to reason with any child who is in the middle of a full-blown tantrum. Give him or her time to vent instead of giving the child phrases to express the emotions that they are experiencing. So phrases like, you must be really tired of such a long day, or you may feel frustrated that you can't have what you want right now. This not only will help the child verbalise this later, but shows empathy to what having to give in. At this point, you may find that your best option is giving the child space until they calm down. Tip number 2, tell your child it's time out or quiet time. If your toddler is having a complete meltdown and there's no way they will be responsive to a rational conversation, sometimes quiet time is only the best method. Tell them it's time to be quiet until they remain calm and feel better. Remain calm yourself, however, to model that good behaviour yet again for your child. Don't forever use quiet time as a threat or punishment, however, but rather a way for them to give them space so they can calm down. Number 3, place him or her in a safe spot. The child's bedroom or another safe place in the house where you feel comfortable leaving them in their room alone for a little while is best. The spot should be free of distractions such as any electronic devices such as computer, TV or any handheld video games. Choose a quiet, peaceful place that the child associates with feeling calm. Don't forever lock a child in a room though, however this can be dangerous and will interpret it as a form of punishment. Number 4, explain to the child that you will talk to him or her when they come down. This will help your child to understand they are ignoring them because of their behaviour was unacceptable, not because you don't care about them and love them so much. When the child does come down, fulfill your part of the bargain by discussing the tantrum and the child's concerns. Number 5, have a talk when it's time, the right time. When your child is no longer having that fit or tantrum or what have you, have a conversation about what just happened without berating your child or taking an accusatory tone. Ask why they were upset in the first place. Provide a clear explanation of your side of the story of how you see it and what can be done. It's important not to treat your child as the enemy even if you're upset with them. Hug your child and speak lovingly even as if you're explaining that we can't always get our own way. Number 6, be consistent. Kids need structure and obviously routine in order to feel safe and in control of their lives. If they're never the same, sure, or shall we say, what will happen if they behave a certain way or might start acting out and have those tantrums time and time again. Use time out or quiet time each time your child throws a tantrum. They will then soon learn that screaming and kicking aren't as effective as talking things through and actually, sharing what's going on. Obviously, communication is key as well. That's what I'm trying to say. Number 7, try the journaling timeout trick. If you don't feel comfortable putting your child in a different room or spot, you can still facilitate him out of sorts by shifting your attention elsewhere. When your child throws a tantrum, tell them you're going to write about it. Take out a journal and write down what happened, how you feel. Ask your child to tell you how they feel as well, so you can write that down too. Make sure you involve the child and take heed to what they're saying. Your child will want to be involved in what you're doing, so they will then soon forget to scream and cry. Last but not least, method 3, knowing when to get professional advice. Tip number 1, see if you're getting through to your child first. Different children respond to different disciplinary methods as well as just different situations of what's going on around them, in that sense of the stimuli could be overbearing for them. Try a few different things and see what will work for you and the child. If the child keeps throwing tantrums no matter what you do, you might want to get outside assistance from a doctor or therapist who can then provide more ideas for you that will suit that specific need for child. Number 2, see if the tantrums are related to an environmental factor. Certain environmental stimulants might be causing your child to have more tantrums than normal. Sometimes kids have a sensitivity to food, especially sugar, light, big crowds, music or other factors, but then again, this could be a sensory overload meltdown that they may confuse you, but like other factors that may irritate them and cause them to break down in frustration. For these tips for you, observe the times when your child has these tantrums and see if you can think the tantrums are connected to anything that's in the environment. Take away the stimulant and see if that will help. And then also get professional advice if you're still having trouble figuring out what's causing the tantrums in the first place. Number 3, see if the tantrums persist as the child gets older. Most kids eventually outgrow their throwing tantrums when they learn other effective forms of communication and disciplinary measures. If your child keeps throwing tantrums while past the toddler stage, there may be something else going on that needs to be addressed. Consider taking your child to a doctor or therapist to see if there's a deep issue at hand for you. You need to remember to take your child to a doctor if the tantrums are frequent or starting to become violent, and if your child starts to throw tantrums multiple times a day, if the tantrums are particularly violent and exhausting, it's a good idea to have your child meet with that professional to find out if your child has a need that's not being met. Violent frequent tantrums may be a symptom of development issue. That basically ends the one of the shall we say, before I conclude this, some tips in mornings. Okay, tips are: number 1, set your child up to succeed, not to fail. For instance, if you know what's already going on in the long day and she hasn't since eaten lunchtime, maybe you wait until the next morning to go to the grocery store. That's not an option. Try to engage your child while shopping and get in and out quickly. Remember how small they are and they're just still learning to be patient with you. Tip number 2, if you're in a public place, sometimes the best solution is to simply leave, even if you have to carry your child kicking and screaming. Remember, always remain calm, and remember that your child is behaving from a place of huge emotions, not reason, or even if it's overwhelming for them to the point that basically, it could lead to a sensory overload or meltdown. Again, we need to differentiate between the two. Quick, smart. Number 3, with eye contact and a normal pitch tone, say that you'll listen after that you have paid attention for the family shopping. Saying names, for example, give that Todd a note saying this is what Daddy likes, then it puts on a conveyor belt and thanks the checkout operator. Give the toddler something to put her through and thank them if she does it. Make her feel she's already done well and smile, saying I love you when you help mommy. Give her an affectionate smile or even a hug. Tip number 4, it should be noted that children with developmental difficulties may not always understand verbal instructions. Children with developmental challenges can sometimes even repeat back their instructions but still have difficulties turning those instructions into actions. If you experience this, try making a visual chart of what you would like to happen. Cut pictures out of magazines or draw a chart with stick figures and go over it with your child. The child may understand better if the pictures are added into the verbal instructions. And number 5 is find a word. Never yell or speak harshly to your child. When you want them to stop throwing a tantrum, explain to them what they are doing, why you don't approve to this kind of behaviour, and suggest another way to express themselves. For example, Sean, you are screaming and hitting. That's not good. When you scream and hit, it makes other people very upset. I want you to stop screaming and hitting and talk to me. I want to know what bothers you, but I can't listen to your words if you're screaming. Number 6, a tantrum is not manipulation unless you let it become that way. Often the tantrum isn't even really about what's just happened most recently. It can be the release of pent-up frustration over days' worth of struggles, of trying to do the right thing and learning to be a socialised little being. Tip number 8, have a plan. When facing a trouble spot, such as the grocery store checkout counter, discuss the situation with your child ahead of time. For example, use your child's name. The last few times we've had that trouble at the checkout counter. From now on, here's what we'll do. When you get to the checkout counter, I'll let you choose a packet of gum if you can behave yourself until then. If you scream and yell because you want more, then you won't be able to have any gum. Now put your child's name in. Tell me what you're going to do. Child should then repeat the directions back to you. Once the plan is understood by both of you, there's no need to explain it over again at checkout time. If child's name behaves, they will be able to be rewarded as planned. If not, they will lose out. They already know the rules. Tip number 8 is each child is different, and so is each situation or scenario that you're facing with your child. This isn't the end all be all answer. You are the parent, you are in control. Keep your cool and keep your calm. If you find yourself getting really angry, annoyed, frustrated in the works, then try taking yourself outside of the situation first and calm yourself down before you try coming up in a set child. Number 10, at some point a child needs to accept no is no. However, if they're old enough to understand, explain why they should behave that way. Okay, warnings to bear in mind here basically as a reminder. Number 1, don't expect behaviour that's not age appropriate. As the parent, you don't have to accept rude or hurtful behaviours, and you should set some limits, but be aware of what is normal for the age of your child. Remember that the phases will pass, and your job is to guide and love your child through them, not to force them into the next phase. Number 2, don't cave in just to avoid embarrassment, which also teaches the child to perform for a crowd. Although parents feel as though all eyes are upon them when their child acts up in public, the reality is most onlookers are saying go for it when they see parents setting reasonable limits for their child. Tip number 3, having a spoiled child can make things a lot worse for you if you are under a lot of pressure. For example, if you have the responsibility of paying bills and mortgage, a screaming toddler does not make life easier for you. Go to a place where you feel like you can vent your anger out. Remember, never under any circumstance vent your anger out on the child or in front of the child, as your difficulties are not the child's fault. Tip number 3, or warnings number 3, if you've tried the strategies listed and what I've shared with you all, but you're still experiencing these fin creatures, it may be time to seek professional help and understand your child and knowing how to work with them. Children with developmental or other difficulties may require the skills and expertise from a specialist. Explain to the professional what you and your child are experiencing. The professional may have other suggestions or recommendations for further evaluation. Number 4, bear with me guys. Never beat or abuse your child. If you choose to employ corporal punishment, do so calmly and responsibly. Always educate yourself on the laws regarding corporal punishment where you live beforehand, if there's any. Number 6, don't frequently rely on providing a distraction like the game to get a young child out of a tantrum. Teach the child not to throw tantrums, and they are more likely to develop other coping mechanisms. Again, like us adults. However, some kids may have tantrums due to more excitable or emotional way of doing things. Just like adults, some kids are calm, whereas others are so dramatic. A good tantrum releases pent-up energy, frustration, anger, and other emotions. It's natural. If you teach your kids to bottle up their emotions, it creates adults who can't express their own feelings. Tip number 9, never surrender to your child during these tantrum stages. This is a sign that they have won and that they have control. Learn to handle them at home, and you'll have fewer occasions to be embarrassed in a public place. For that classic example I've shared in the supermarkets, you might try to give in to them on the smaller issues, which gives them a feeling of greater control, thus reducing their tantrum when they see that being calm gets their rewards and certain benefits. And last but not least, depending on the situation, if you need to put your child in timeout, then do so. It is never right to hit your child. Physically disciplining a child for their tantrum only teaches them to use physical force on others, etc., and then it leads to dire other consequences. Well, basically that ends of the how to handle a child's tantrum and the 3 methods. Give me the like for thumbs up for engagement. If there's anything I missed, comment below. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, AspieAnswersAll. Feel free to private message me on AspieAnswersAll or direct message me on YouTube. I'll do the best I can to answer to any of your questions, or you just need someone to talk to. Feel free to basically share these videos around to family and friends, and hopefully you've learnt something today. Do what you love what you're doing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.